Hey family, this is Charles Thomas coming at you again with some more enlightenment and encouragement. Let's get started. I'm going to do the prayer that's for a person that's been crucified as a people like we have under Christianity and have endured slavery, and we are coming into the rapture of coming out of the grave of slavery into righteousness, which was taken from us by the religion of Christianity. So I must get started with the prayer of a former slave. And the prayer comes out of the Holy Quran, the Fatiha, the way that I interpreted it, that it should be spoken, because we have been hoodwinked and removed from our righteousness, which is our inner spirit or the inner temple. So here we go. In the name of righteousness, most gracious and most merciful, all praises are due to righteousness, the Lord of all the worlds, most gracious and most merciful, Master of the day of judgment. Thee do we worship, and thine aid do we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those on whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, not those whose portion is wrapped, nor those who go astray from righteousness. Amen. Welcome, and thank you for joining me, giving me a few minutes of your time. And time is important, especially to a people that have been suffocated with what we've been suffocated with under religion. And we have to explain to the world what it feels like to be crucified. Nobody understands it but the people that have been crucified. And our problem stems from the crucifixion that we suffered under Christianity. That dead person on the cross is symbolic of the PTSD that we suffer from Christianity. But if you don't explain it so that other people can understand it, and the people that are in the grave of Christianity can understand what the rapture is all about, you have to come out of the grave of religion while you are living, because on Judgment Day it's too late. Your soul has to give account for how you live in this realm of purgatory. And Christianity has put us in a purgatory state of mind, which we have to come to understand and realize and let the world know why we suffer, and we are satisfied with the suffocation that we have endured under Christianity. It was horrific. Dr. Joyce DeGruy wrote a book about post-traumatic slave syndrome and our punishment for breaking the covenant of righteousness that was given to the melanin people, our grandparents, our ancestors, Adam and Eve, because we were tricked by Lucifer, that was thrown from the higher realm of spirituality to this lower form that we are living in the physical world. We come from a spiritual plane, and because we were thrown from the spiritual realm into a physical realm, and this is our purgatory, where we are at now in this dimension. But you are a spiritual person, but we have been punished because we broke the covenant of righteousness, And now we are dealing with a physical prevalence of life. And this is our purgatory. But like the first church that's in Ethiopia, they carved out a cross from a rock. And that cross was symbolic of the two paths in life. There's a physical path in life, and then there's a spiritual path in life. And we, as melanin people, we have to gravitate back to the spiritual side of life, the higher side of life, not the physical side of life. Leave the physical side of life in this purgatory realm. And learn how to elevate yourself by communicating with each other what it feels like to be crucified and what we have endured as a crucified people under a false religion of Christianity. That's why it's called Christianity. It's an anti-Christ. And you have to understand this. And religion is controlled by the negative forces called legion. That's where the term religion came from. It's a evil entity called legion that was cast out of the spiritual realm, and in this purgatory realm, his name is Legion. And he is in religion, in all the religion. I'm talking about all your religions are created to keep you out of the covenant of righteousness. Because your grandfather Adam, which refers to the atom in balance and harmony. The Arabs, the Shiites and Sunnis, they also changed Islam into a religion. And there's certain words that if you gravitate to them, you can understand, you can see. Instead of saying Islam, say harmony. Because everything in the spiritual world is in harmony. Things that are not in harmony are disrupted in religion. And Lucifer created religion for disruption, for division, for dissatisfaction. So when you see Islam, you don't say Islam, say harmony. When you say Allah, say righteousness. When you see Lord in the Bible, it's not Lord, it's righteous. There's certain words that you have to understand and extrapolate. And when you're reading your religious books, understand that the most important thing to your Creator is that you were created in righteousness. And you have to go back to righteousness. On Judgment Day, you'll be asked how you lived, how you communicate. And righteousness is vital. Religion is irrelevant. Your righteous spirit is what is going to get you out of and elevate you to this rapture. That you got to come out of religion. And religion will spit you out because Lucifer, the evil spirit, cannot deal with truth. And we have been dealing with untruth. But the upper crust of Christianity, like the cardinals and the Pope and the people in the higher level of religion, they understand and they have to perpetuate religion to keep the melanin people under their control. And the same as in Islam, the Shiites and Sunnis changed Islam harmony into a religion. Religion is not your salvation. Everything that you need to satisfy your creator is within you. Nothing on the outside can save you. What you intake doesn't affect you. What comes out of your mouth affects you. So you have to understand that religion is not a help. It's a hindrance to your waking up and seeing the matrix of creation in balance and in harmony. Something simple that you can understand. Your wife is your life. Your wife gave you life. If it was not for the woman giving you life, then you would not be in existence. And because melanin people were the first to be created, all life came from the melanin woman. And we should not be giving our melanin away freely because it's more precious than gold. You have to understand how important you are to society. And by you coming back to who you really are in righteousness and not in religion, you are coming out of the rapture of religion, a dead state, into a spiritual state. But you have to let go of religion and everything that pertains to religion. I'm gonna give a little ditty about my book. The reason that I wrote this book is by me reading the Torah and the Quran and the Bible, I had an understanding that the covenant of righteousness is more important than any religion. Religions don't hold the candle to the covenant of righteousness. Anything out of the covenant of righteousness is false and is there to keep you a distracted spirit so that you cannot elevate yourself back to your spiritual form. And in these books, they're really simple to read, and you must understand that everything in life is about righteousness and unrighteousness. And I'm not trying to hook with you. You've already been hoodwinked. You're already dead. I'm trying to bring you back to your spiritual soul and raise you above this purgatory life that religion has been our punishment. When I was in Ghana, and I've said this many times, when I was in Ghana, I went to the slave dungeon, the door of no return. And right above the slave dungeon, there was a Baptist church. And at the time, I didn't connect it, but I knew something was wrong with it. Because once you went through that door and they brought you over here, they started punishing you and demeaning you in the slave dungeon with religion. And religion has been used ever since we've been captured and brought over here. They went around the world teaching you that this man on the cross, which was symbolic of what they was going to do to us, the crucifixion that they was going to do to us, to cause us to be put into purgatory and remain our remaining existence will be in purgatory. And when you die in purgatory, if you haven't figured it out, then you weren't going to go back to a spiritual form. You were going to stay in a spiritual, despiteful, and a painful environment, which they call hell. But it's you being away from your natural self, which is righteousness. This is the cross. Self-hate. That's what religion does. Religion puts you into a self-hate mode. That's why we have to explain to the world what it feels like to be a crucified people and edify the pain and the suffering that we have endured under the religion of Christianity, which is our purgatory. Explain it. It'll elevate you when you come to clarity and understand and see the matrix of what you've been through, because we can help other people. We are a blessing to other people. We've been stepped on and walked on for so long that we feel comfortable in this environment in purgatory. And this book explains how the black churches, every time that you go to church, you are extending that religious concept of purgatory. And when you give your tithe and offerings in the church, and the church, the leadership, the trustees, and the preachers, they give their money into the system of white supremacy to the non-melanin people, and they take your tithe and offerings and they invest it, and they triple and compound, and they make profit off of your tithe and offering. and you stay in purgatory, but they benefiting from keeping you in religion. But because of your crucifixion and your mindset, you think that you're doing good by you giving your money to the church, and then the church is laundering money back into the white supremacy system of a white God. And you know in your heart that God wasn't white just based on how non-melanin people have treated us. So these are the things that we have to explain about crucifixion and the pain and the suffering of crucifixion. That's all. That's it in a nutshell. Just look at the matrix. The trees are like capillary muscles. This planet is real. And this is your inheritance, Adam. This is yours. God gave this to you. He left Adam in charge. But because Satan has used Legion to take you out of your inheritance, you got to get control of what was left of your inheritance. And you can only do it from a spiritual perspective, not a religious perspective. You have to wake up to your spiritual side and go back to the first church of Lalibela and use that symbol for the two paths in life, the physical path and the spiritual path, and decide what path you want to follow. If you want to follow the physical path, keep going to church. But if you want to be elevated into the rapture and explain what crucifixion is like and what you have endured under Christianity, then you want to go to the spiritual side. So the universe will help you and deliver you back to your spiritual self and get you out of this physical. Be in the world, but not of the world. I'm going to close. In the name of righteousness, most gracious and most merciful, all praises are due to righteousness, the Lord of all the worlds, most gracious and most merciful, master of the day of judgment. Thee do we worship, and thine aid do we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those on whom thou hast bestowed thy grace, not those whose portion is wrath, nor those who go astray from righteousness. Amen.